test it, and then you got to test it in animals because even though that doesn't sound humane, it's less humane to test it in humans. So they're going to have to test it, and it's a long process. It's not.
I think they will play with the mind as well. What they will do is that they will launch a vaccine which would not be a coronavirus vaccine, but would be a vaccine which boosts your immunity. And that vaccine will also work because if you boost your immunity not with healthy food, but with the vaccine, that will also cause a. I mean, you can save yourself as well. But before we don't have a vaccine, we have something to share. This is what we offer to our viewers.
That's right.
This is a vaccine.
That's your vaccine.
Yeah.
Stay home.
That's your vaccine.
That's your vaccine, yeah. The time we don't have anything.
Distancing, good practices, build your immunity. Everything the doctors have been sharing with us, build your immunity. Stem cell research is showing some great ways to for preventive, as opposed to a vaccine, which we say is preventive, but it's full of junk. Because vaccines are nothing but pharmaceuticals making more money. Yeah. And we just want to be careful about this, but there's nothing wrong with building our immunity, taking supplements that build our immunity, that make us healthier, doing the right exercises. They've proven that the sunshine does kind of deter the COVID. There you go, B12.
We have our old golden recipe, Chawanprash. That is good for this kind of.
Chawanprash, oh God.
Yeah, the black jar. I mean. But yeah, he I'm going to have to get a jar of it, pickles. But let me explain something to you. All the doctors have been talking about this since day one on our show, which I've been very proud of because we've been more transparent than the media about what's really happening. And they talked about building your immunity. But what was interesting to me is how Dr. Yu kept saying, get in the sunshine because the sunshine actually kills the COVID, corona. But then Dr. Art came on, and do you know how he's sanitizing his non-reusable PPE equipment? The mask and stuff that they have to wear because they're not getting new ones. Do you know how he sanitizes?
UV lights?
No, he puts it in the sun in his dashboard.
Yeah.
He puts all of his PPE equipment in the sun and lets the sun kill the corona. So that, to me, was a big statement of the more sunshine we get, the better. And I don't think it's the warmer weather, but the more sunshine we get, because it is a host virus that likes a hot body. So, when they kept saying that the heat's going to kill it, I'm like, no, I don't think so, because it likes my body, right? It's getting in my body's 102. So, exactly what kind of heat are we talking about? We can't live in that kind of heat. So, but Dr. Yu and Dr. Art and a couple of other doctors, they solidified it's the sun and the vitamin D that helps our bodies recover from it. So, just, do the healthy things. It's not going to kill you, I don't think. Healthy things shouldn't kill you.
So on that note, I think I'm going to make a move now. And it was really lovely talking to all of you. Thank you, Ankit. Thank you, Kimberly. And it was nice seeing you, Dr. Ben. And I hope to see you guys soon, very soon.
Before you go, I just wanted to share something. So this could be a fashion for future.
Yeah, me and Kimberly actually discussed about this.
Yes, we discussed how the mask matched the suit.
And also, I'll tell you, you might have seen David on Doom 3. He was there on the Doom 3 movie.
Which one?
He was in the Doom 3 movie.
I was in Doom 3.
Hi. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see the movie again then.
Yeah. And let's support each other. And you know what? Let's get a fashion show online on IBM TV. Get your fashions out here.
Absolutely, we can plan a virtual fashion show on IBM TV, and it's gonna be great. So with this, thank you everybody. It was really nice talking to all of you, and thank you for having me over. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Wow. Bye. So what a visit from a fashion, the fashion, right?
Yes, absolutely.
He's a fashion designer. You always need those for movie sets too, right?
Wonderful. One of my projects was supporting a fashion artist that's done very well. She
Okay.
is currently selling her product in Los Angeles and in New York City, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I'll have her on that one of these days.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Ankit and I have been trying to come up with an idea of how can we do a fashion show
Yeah.
on IBM TV, and maybe we can just get a group of people who consistently bring new artists, right? New fashion
Sure,
artists. Once,
sure.
it could be a once a week introduction. This is fashion show
Mhm.
XYZ.
Sure.
It,
Well, this
yeah, it's just doing it.
it's doable. It's doable, Kimberly. What I did with Asta Rasma is her last name. What I did with her is we did a fashion quote unquote show online where I was able to, or she was able to show her graphics, her designs online and talk about the fashions as well. So it's really cool actually. It's doable. If it's doable, we can do it certainly.
So, and that's one of the things I like about you is that you're not just the art world or movies. You are all of the arts combined,
Correct.
and you help support the art industry. But the viewers don't know who you are. Ankit and I do. So what we're going to do is put you on the spotlight and let
Sure.
you share with the world who you are, what you do, where you are, location wise, and what's happening. And world, well, we'd like to introduce to you Ben David Garza.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much, and thank you for the invite, Kimberly and Kit. This is quite an honor for me to be on your show. So let me just tell you quickly who I am and what I do and where I'm at as well. My name is Ben David Garza. I am originally from Chicago, actually. I grew up and was raised in Chicago, and what I'm currently at, I am now in Mexico. What I decided to do last year is take some time off from my work as a clinical researcher in Chicago. I decided to take some time off and travel and just kind of sort of just be a free spirit for a couple of years, and then I'll go back to the States. But the reason that I'm here is very simple. What I wanted to share with you is the work that I've been doing beside my work as a clinical researcher. I dabble, as it were, in the arts. What I do is very simply, I train as a researcher, as a psychologist, and I've worked on that field for many years. I did well, but I also have a lot of interest in the arts. So what I did is in Chicago, I started doing some acting projects. I did some projects in also in Miami, Florida. I did some projects here in Mexico years ago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, et cetera, et cetera. So that kept me busy. So what I decided to do a couple of years ago, this may have been maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, actually, what I did along with another business partner is we created our own company, if you will. The company is called Next NXT Level Productions. What we do is very simple. We raise money for up and coming artists to do their art. Now, art, as you mentioned earlier, it's the gamut. You can have art as in music, you can have art as in film, art as in writing, art as in exhibition. So, art is art. What we do is we fund the starving, if you will, starving artists to do their art. Now, how does that work? Very simply, so what we do is we interview an artist, a starving artist, and they present us with their project. Now, the project could be, let's just say, a play. So the artist comes in with the play. I've written a play, Ben. Tell me, what do you think about it? Are you able to fund it, et cetera, et cetera? We look at the project. We determine whether, number one, it's doable, and number three, is this artist, the starving artist, is he or she serious about the art that they will follow through? So if we decide that yes, it's doable, then we go ahead and raise the funds and we make it happen. We are the production company. Now that also goes well with the writer. That also goes well with the actor and also a film as well. The projects that we've done thus far, and I'm proud to say, is that we've funded two theatrical productions in Chicago, one in Chicago and the other one in Oakland, California. We also funded two art exhibitions. We funded one, two, three short film narrative films. We have also funded one, two, three. I believe that by now it's going to be around 5 video clips. I am currently in Mexico. what I've discovered here in this country is a lot of talented people with no money or little money to be able to do their projects. So hence, that's where we come in. We interview the artist. Why haven't you done your music? Why haven't you done your video? Why haven't you done your movie, et cetera, et cetera? And it's always been, we have no money. So what we do is we raise the money and make it happen. And it's a very satisfying, very it's just a wonderful feeling. Kimberly and Ankit, it's a wonderful feeling when you're able to help this artist to take their art to the next level. Hence the name of the company, Next Level Productions. So in a nutshell, that's who I am. That's what I do.
So
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But I would like to, we just know because while talking to you, I mean, while listening to you, a thought came in my mind. You are in a workplace right now where there are people who work together on different projects. I'm talking about right now where you are going live with us. You are using a co-working space. So can we have a co-working space for artists where artists can come and then they do a lot of production work on
Well, that's
24/7?
well. Thank you, Ankit, for that question. Yes, in fact,
Because the problem is that, yeah.
I mean, to make it global, I mean that's ideal.
No, because what I think the problem is that artists they don't have infrastructure at their home. They just try to work on with small tools, whatever tools are available. But if we give them a workspace, and that workplace is only for artists, so they come in the morning, they do their work, and then they leave, and then it works 24/7. And that could be a global platform for people around the world. What do you think?
It's doable. It's doable. The fact is that an artist is an artist, and again, we describe art as whatever the artist can do. Now, one of the issues that we have with that, Ankit, is that we need to interview the artist to make sure, number one, that they're serious about their art. And then secondly, that they will follow through. Now, again, and Kimberly, we've had some major successes. We've had some really good products that have come on board. We finished our first feature film in fact, last year. And then we've had some major failures as well. The major failures have been, number one, a writer. A writer was not able to produce. There were lots of issues with her, and the fact is that she didn't complete the work that she was going to do, and it was just kind of sort of a loss, if you will, because we had invested money in the work that she was going to do. She was going to do a graphic novel. The graphic novel just never materialized. That's number one. Number two, a musical band that we interviewed. They were very serious about their art, their music. So what we offered is we will take you into the studio. We will pay for the studio, allow us to follow you as you're going through the whole process of your career as musicians. We wanted to end up with an indie documentary, music documentary. These guys, great band out of Chicago. What they ended up doing, three guys, they knew each other when they were very young and started making music, and all of a sudden they're really doing well. They're doing well in their music, but they haven't made it to the next level. So that's where we come in. We took them into the studio, and the fact is that was the agreement. Take them into the studio, and they flaked on us. They were not quite ready. So that was a loss. So the answer to your question is it's doable, but we need to make sure that the artist is serious about their art and that they want to do it as a career.
It's like a startup business, okay? And actually, my book, I wrote a book on, it's the first of many called Startup Masters 101, okay? And it's the beginning of what it takes to, because becoming a business, an artist becomes their own business, all right? And it is a startup. I don't care what anyone says. I know because my son's an artist and I know what it takes. I also know a lot of artists, they work day and night. They produce day and night, but they don't know how to market, or they don't have time to market. So there's got to be a combination there, right? So you've got very dedicated ones, and you go, why aren't they making it anywhere? And because it takes a lot of energy, like Ankit and I know, to not just produce the content, but to get out there and market it. So this is my first part of what it takes to become a startup. And I did this book before I went out on tour with Google to speak to entrepreneurs, minority and Hispanic entrepreneurs, what it takes to become a startup.
Mhm.
But it's also
Yeah.
what it takes to do anything in life, right? You got to have the passions, you got to have the
Absolutely.
persistence, you got to have a plan, and you got to be prepared. There's a difference between planning and preparing.
Correct.
So, and then, most important out of all of it, this is what I tell people: you got to have a dream. I always say dream big, right?
Mhm.
Don't dream small, dream big, but you got to
Yes.
get out there and execute with excellence. At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, if you don't get up and execute, go back to bed and keep dreaming, because you're not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
So
Well, it's
very
it's yeah. I'll make it a point to look for it. But
But-
Kimberly, you're absolutely correct. The artist knows the art, whatever their art may be. They don't know the business part of art. That's where we come in. So, in fact, let me just tell you this quick story. Here in Mexico, we discovered a really good band. They go by the name of Sonoman. So Sonoman is a good band. I heard their music, and what they wanted from us, if you will, after the interview, is we need to take our music to the next level, but we don't know how. We make music and we play it wherever they allow us to play it, but we are not making music from our money from our music.
exactly.
So therein lies a problem. There's where we come in. Not only are we going to be able to fund you to provide you, and in this case, what we ended up doing with this band is we did what they call here in Mexico a video clip or a music video. So now what we've told this musician is you now have your music, you now have a video clip or a music video, you have a portfolio now. Let's
Yeah.
take this on to another level where you can just kind of, for lack of a better term, hustle. Because it does take hustle. It's not because fame is not going to come look for you. You have to look for it. And you have to know the business, or you have to know somebody who knows the business. So that's where your book comes in, Kimberly.
Exactly. I mean, it's just truly, it was written to actually go on tour and just have something to give people. It wasn't, I need to get it re-edited because I didn't have time to edit out all the spellings. But what I will tell you is that it was so, I didn't realize it was so well written that somebody read it, a very wealthy man that I didn't really know. And he called me up and he goes, "I'm going to order 100 from you. That's the best book I've ever read. It is the reality," because it is the reality.
Wonderful.
It is the blood and guts. It is the blood and guts. It is not nice about what it takes. I don't pave it nice. Okay. You got to get up there. You got to push it hard. It being an entrepreneur in many cases is what causes many divorces. Because you give so much to your business. It takes everything you have.
Sure.
It's like an Italian restaurant, right? You gotta, right? They're there 20. People don't know. People in a restaurant are there 24/7. It is not
Yes.
1 hour you ate. It
It's,
is, and this is what I tell people a lot of times too. It is also your startup, your art, your business is that lazy spouse that won't get up off the couch,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Make the money.
Yes.
You have to prod them, coach them, push them.
Yes.
They're not going to love you back. You got to love them back a lot. And people don't know that. It is more work than you'll ever know. But at the end of the day, when you're successful, it's there. Now, my book is also not just about me and my experiences. It's about all the people I interviewed on our TV show, Money Masters.
Wonderful.
So,
That is so great.
I incorporated their stories in there too, because I always say that other people's experiences are priceless, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, because you don't have to pay for their experiences, they paid for it. Because experiences are very expensive.
Yes.
Very experiences can be very. I mean, like you talk about the failures, right? That's expensive. That's investment of time, money, and things like that. And what you learned was a better evaluation technique, probably. Look for the people who are really going to get up every day. Ankit and I do this, right? We look for the people. We tell people up front. It's not. We don't tell them the nice story, do we, Ankit?
Yeah.
You have to be reliable and on time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's important.
That's all.
That's the key to success. Absolutely, that's the key to success. To be prepared. One of the things that I tell my artists when I interview them and when I work with them is, number one, in order for you to do well or to make a living out of your art, either you have to be the first, whatever you're producing, it has to be different, or you have to be different than anybody else.
Unique.
If you're the first or the best or different, that's the key. That's the key to your success. So it's been an interesting process on this end. So we're really I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this immensely.
If you want a good book for a musician, artist, kind of based on a true story, Carl T. Smith, he's deceased now. I used to proofread some of his books. He's authored a lot of great books. And but this was one that's similar to more like a biography of his, but a lot of flavor put into it. Okay,
Wonderful.
Like, that true nonfiction, right? But great story of what it takes to be that unique musician pushing their way through Nashville. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And and again, the blood and guts of what it takes. But Carl's a great author. Like, he can spin a story so that you can, if the music doesn't have to be hearing, but you hear it the way he writes, right? So, but he was also a musician.
Wonderful, yeah.
But not as successful as a musician probably as he was an author.
Yeah. Well, Kimberly, one of the things that I've also discovered is when I'm interviewing some of these new artists is that they're expecting to be discovered. And I say discovered in air quotes. No, that doesn't work anymore. No, you got to make it. You need to discover them so they can discover you. You need to make it and knock on the door, as you say. Absolutely.
But I'm going to tell you what, discover is them seeing you. And in order to be seen, you have to get out there. And I will guarantee you, all the people who were, quote unquote, just discovered showed up to that dinner party that they didn't want to go to, went to an event they didn't want to go to, paid for an event they couldn't afford. Okay. Because they saw it as a means of an investment to get to that level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I was mentioning about one of my artists, she is the one that did that. She just raised some money, ended up in Los Angeles, and she was able to finagle, for lack of a better word, into these parties where she was able to invest money into these high price parties to get her name out there. And sure enough, her name is out there. She's not quite up there yet, but she is working hard at it. And I'm really so proud of her that we got her start. Yes, I can.
And I think the best example for doing all these things is our social media queen of the world. Do you want to guess the name?
The what of the world?
Social media queen.
Social media queen of the world. Everyone knows that she's not an actress and things like that, but she's very popular. She's more popular than the big celebrities around the world.
All right.
Who's this? We have a bad connection on your end.
Who is it?
So I'll give you a clue. The name starts with Kim.
Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian?
Kardashian.
Yeah.
Kim
Kardashian. And you know how she made it? She made it on her own, basically. She had money.
Yeah.
Oh, she definitely did a lot of self-promoting. What was it? Stevie Orman says self-promoting shamelessly or shamelessly self-promoting, but people don't understand that's the only way you get there.
There's no shame in that. There's no shame in no. You need if you're gonna make it these days, if you will, you need to shamelessly put yourself out there and plug everything that you're doing. And see, that's the key.
Be consistent and be reliable and be on time. And that is something I've learned on TV set. That TV show goes on. You better be on time. And, I learned that from somebody who was very successful in raising his fan club. And that's what he told me. Same time every week. And he started out with none. And ended up with like 6 million fans. So, and these are the stories that people need to hear. But there are different ways too, because this is what I tell people, even people with investors. This is the big question I have for you. Actually, I'm going to shift gears. How are you raising the money?
Sure. Well, what I do is number one, it's money that I've earned or that we've earned on working on our projects. So
Wow.
that's number one. So we've had some hits. We've had some of our projects have made money. So the investments on the play, for example, the play was very low budget, but we ended up doing really well financially. We made a profit. We paid the actors, we paid everyone, and we made profit. So that money is invested into other projects. Number two is we did the movie, the full feature film called Ghost Box. We had a screening done, and the screening, I kid you not. So what we wanted to do is to show it to the world, if you will. We ended up, I kid you not, Kimberly and I kid, we ended up like almost 500 people showed up in that theater to see that film because we plugged it shamelessly, shamelessly, and we did well. Now, the other parts that again, because I'm not by myself, I do have a business partner. In fact, I have two business partners. What the other part is that what we do is as an actor and as a performer, and this is a hobby, that money goes back into the kitty to be able to support other artists. Now, look at me. I'm short, fat, and bald, but I've done so well as a model. I kid you not. In fact, I feel embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to plug it shamelessly. My agent has sent me out to do some wonderful projects, not only on TV, film, but I also am doing some print work and stage work as well, but print work. Now, print work in Chicago for someone like me has been very easy. My agent, I've had to turn down my agent with some of the requests. So the print projects are, for example, I am the doctor, or I am the scientist, I'm the professor, I am even the terrorist, if you will.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that terrorist, but I did.
It's the beard.
well, so I've done well, and those projects pay well. But again, that's money that goes back into the company or into the business. And also, and the fourth part is we've done some fundraising as well. That has not been as successful. Well, another thing that has been successful is that since I work in the healthcare industry, I have friends, doctors, with deep pockets. Now, let me just tell you this quick story and how I raise money that way. Is that as a man of certain means and a certain age, all of these nurses and doctors and staff are always asking me buy Girl Scout cookies, buy this, buy that, raffle, etc., etc. Okay, so then I go back. Remember all those Girl Scout cookies I bought throughout the years? Now I need help on on a project that I'm producing. Now, okay, pay up. This is what okay. So Ben David, how much do you need? Okay, well, just whatever you can do for.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is, how do I raise money? A myriad of ways. Yes.
So, yes, and interesting enough, what do you do? Because an entrepreneur never dabbles in one thing. Like you said, you dabble in many things of art, but you're dabbling in many things in business too. So you've got medical, and what kind of medical? Do you mind sharing?
Oh no, I don't mind at all. School was very easy to me from the get go. So what I ended up doing, and I'll just say my background in regards to education. What I ended up doing is after high school, I got a full scholarship to go study at Texas A&M University. At Texas A&M University, I took 2 degrees. I ended up with a degree in psychology, a degree in social work as well, or sociology. And then I went back and I ended up with a master's degree in public administration, the business part of psychology, if you will. So throughout the years, my work has been in the people helping business. As a counselor, I was a school teacher, I was a professor at one time, I was a probation officer at one time as well. And then I got into research. In interviewing individuals, got into research. My first research project was, I guess, in the late '80s, early '90s with HIV/AIDS. I was transferred to do some work in the San Francisco Bay Area. So in the Bay Area, there was a great need to do health education. At that particular time, it was HIV/AIDS. And then from there, I got a grant because my work has always been grant driven, meaning that I get a grant, I do the research, collect the data, analyze the data, and then report it or publish it. So from there, I ended up working with the health department in the state of California, and I was traveling all over California to provide technical assistance to community health centers and collecting data to see how they were doing this and how they were providing services. So from there, I ended up doing some work in, let's see, yeah, researching children with asthma in the Bay Area. So this was a multi-million-dollar grant that I received from the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, to collect data on children with asthma.
Right.
From there, I ended up going back to Chicago, where I was doing research at the county hospital. The first project that I worked on there was tobacco cessation, how to get patients to stop smoking, it came very easy to me. So that was research that we did, and we were very successful. And then the second part was asthma again in adults. And after we finished that research project, I ended up doing some work with what was the other? Oh, diabetes education as well.
Wow.
From the diabetes, I went on to tuberculosis and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been very fortunate in that. I've been very fortunate. But again, that is my professional work. That's what I do from my 9 to 5. The art is what I do because I enjoy it.
Well, and see, that's what we talked about earlier today too, and I talk about in my book that a lot of times you need fuel to get to where you want to be, and so work if you have to, and hope that eventually, and let it fund what you want, you enjoy doing, right?
Yep.
And quit that day job until you know for a fact that you can sustain yourself, right? But maybe some people enjoy. It sounds like you enjoy your day job too.
I do, absolutely. I've been very successful with that. I've had some great accomplishments, some great research that has done as a result of my participating. I've been able to, as a counselor, I've been able to save marriages, get people off drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been very rewarding. And that's why I chose to go. That's why I chose to go into that field. As a matter of fact, I chose to go into that field. And let me just quickly tell you how I ended up knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up. In elementary, I kid you not, Kimberly, in elementary school, in the 6th grade, we had a school social worker. Miss Lujan is her name. I remember it distinctly. So one fine, Miss Lujan would come in once a week, and she would just ask the kids, "Hey, how you doing, Ben? How are things at home?" "Oh, everything is fine, Miss Lujan. Everything is fine. Everything is fine." And then one fine day, I asked Miss Lujan. I got the courage to ask her, "Miss Lujan, what do I have to do to be like you?" Said, "What do you mean? A counselor, a teacher?" "Well, just to do what you do." Oh, Ben, you have to study. You have to study. You have to do well in school." I was in the 6th grade. You have to finish high school, and then you have to go on to college. And that was so far removed from where I was at, but I never forgot. I never forgot the feeling. Not that I needed any help at home. Things were fine at home. I had a wonderful childhood, but the feeling, how are you at home? How are things at home? Made me feel so special. And I never forgot that. The day I set foot at that campus at the university, I declared what they say my major. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I did. And I've been very, very fortunate, very, very lucky.
You know, that's an insight to know that there are mentors in our lives that begin very young.
And they don't even know. They don't know it.
Well, I think they do. They wouldn't do what they do if they didn't, right? Because I think you know that sometimes people don't come back and thank you, but you know you impacted their lives. And because it's not always about that thank you, it's about looking and watching somebody fly away, and you know that you helped them do that. And
Absolutely.
and that's what's important, because a lot of times you can do that and you don't get the thank yous, you don't get the comebacks. Never went. But you know what? I tried to. I had a great uncle mentor, right? And he shared that with me one time. He said, you know, what's difficult is all the wonderful people who will be in your lives and they will not know what they did for you.
Sure.
He said that's the biggest regret he had, was that he didn't respond back to people who helped him. You know, and I listened to that. And so I made an effort many times to do things that a lot of people don't even do today. And that's, I'll write a thank you card.
Yes.
And still put it in the mail. So keep in mind, I did this. I think it was 2 years ago because somebody went way out of their way to help me in Chicago with a problem we were having, and he was the general manager of PBS at another station. Right, we had they had 2 stations, and I felt so because he didn't stop helping me. He worked 24 hours nonstop on the phone, calls and everything.
Nice.
So I didn't know how to thank him because he knew we were non for profit.
So I think appreciation is what is more important.
Right.
And,
application.
yeah, if you don't appreciate, so that is what I mean. Gratitude and appreciation. I mean, because we don't appreciate each other's work and each other's, and then we have to be grateful for all these things. So these are small things we have learned in our childhood, but we are not implementing when we are adults, and we have to use those kind of expressions and emotions. We are always talk about money and anger and things like that, but we forgot about that love and that one word and things like that.
And we have to connect and work together. But what was funny is I did write him a card.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And I mailed it because I'm like, what can I do for him? And I go, I'm just going to write a simple card like I used to do for my grandmother and other people. But kid you not, he emails me.
He got it. Nice.
This is what's funny. I know this sounds odd and repetitive, but thank you so much for a thank you card in the mail. I have not received one in years. Can you believe that? So,
that is wonderful, Kim. That is wonderful. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at this. This is his wife.
That is beautiful. You see, this is what my friend Asta could do as well. She can do a fashion show or fashion information with that in mind.
That's my next dress. That's my next dress.
Oh, it's beautiful. Nice.
Why? Because I keep joking about the hoop skirt in our desk, right? Because they say,
I know. She thought that I'll make it for Kim the hoop skirt.
Because I keep talking about a hoop skirt distancing, making our distance, right? Because it's just, and so when I saw that, that's my next dress. Because truly, I think fashion is going to define our trend of protecting us. It has to, right?
Yes.
So that's what I want to see. I want to see a fashion show coming up. If we do it online, that dress has got to be in it.
Sure.
But
one of the things that we're all doing here now is this. Now, these have become fashion.
Oh, yeah. I wish I had my other one, but in the long term.
So, see, that's one of the things that this is now going to be the future. There you go. There you go. This is going to become the new normal.
I like the kids better.
Yes, of course, I like that.
Put my chart there. Put your money where your mouth is.
Now, this is going to become the new normal.
Yeah.
This is wherever we're going to be at months from now, maybe up until next year. This is going to become fashion.
True.
Well,
so we need to get ready to and be comfortable with these as well.
I think the big dresses, but women tend to forget why we had those big V'd out. The big dresses was to make our waist look smaller.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Have a purpose.
Have a purpose.
Awful trend where it just is flat, and only girls that have a flat body look good in it. We look like boxes. Women like me look like a box because I'm full figured, right, and I'm short. So when I put that flat outfit on, but it was cheap. It was no design to it whatsoever, right? But only girls who were skinny and tall look great in it. But those really full skirts, I look rocking in it because
they had a purpose. They had a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Makes my waist look tiny. It kind of, I love them. I have a few still in my closet. Not, I got they're full skirts, but I'd love to see that trend come back. I joke with everyone that the stormtrooper outfits, Darth Vader, all of that's going to come back because it's a hood,
yes.
And definitely protective outerwear, right? Stormtroopers are a little more sexier than Darth Vader, right? So.
Right.
Yeah,
the designers are already thinking about what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? They're already going there.
They don't really Louis Vuitton. I know, right? Leather, right? Oh my gosh, that's all.
Look at that. Yep, that's where they're going. That's the future.
There
There
you
you,
go.
there you go. Oh
We,
yeah.
so but there's not just that people need to think about. But here's what's funny. I think science fiction predicted our future clothing.
True.
Oh yeah.
If you think about it, I think science
I
fiction
totally agree.
knew.
I agree with
You
that.
know, I think we need to put that into play and get some outerwear design that will protect us.
Mhm.
I also think the Indians kind of knew how to dress because they dressed with a veil, they dressed with a heavier layered out clothing. So I think that they understood, and I truly believe that fashion back in the day was truly designed, even though they made it look trendy and made it trendy or religious, was to
Mhm.
protect them from diseases. If you
Sure.
think
Yeah.
about it, if you
Sure.
really think about it,
Mhm.
it was truly meant, I think, to protect them from all the diseases that occurred back then. Even the hoop skirts, because it kept people at bay, right? It kept
That's right.
people far away from the breathing of the flu or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I just think we got to think about those things and get that fashion show out there online. I have
Mhm.
an idea while we were talking. I do this when I talk to people.
Yeah.
What if you started something new and trendy, maybe a 1 hour show once a week where you interview artists that
Mhm.
Yeah.
help raise money and walk us through the process?
That's an
I
idea.
agree.
It's
That's a
doable.
good idea.
It's certainly doable.
And or maybe one part of the show you're interviewing artists, another part of the show you're showing a successful artist. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be just an art, like we said, it encompasses everything. It could be fashion, art, uh,
Sure.
movies,
Yeah.
music,
It's
any of it.
it's certainly doable. Of course. Of course.
I love the idea, and
Certainly.
you can do
Certainly.
it every
That's
day
great.
if you want. It doesn't bother me because I think you're the kind of guy who could probably pull something off every day. But just doing something, find a day and time, and try it. Just even try it. We're not going to charge you for it. Just try it and see if it works.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that. In fact, let me just put it together and I'll present you with an outline.
Sure.
It's doable. Absolutely.
And I think artists will also get a platform and a place to showcase their art as well. I mean, they will also be delightful to showcase their art to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
from
I
all over
think,
the world. It doesn't have to be just in one
Sure.
yeah,
location.
yeah.
Sure.
And I
Mhm.
think it would be doable, and we can rework in the format that the way we want to present it and the way we want to showcase it. But I think we can do that.
But also, you have to remember, he's got artists who can make it look wow.
That's what
Like
I'm saying.
Yeah.
access
Yeah.
to directors and things like that. They can just make this come out and just pop.
Yes.
And but think about it, a show that's as unique as that is that we come up with a really cool title, and maybe we can even make that part of the show. But you can come up with a really cool title that who's the next artist, or here's our next artist, next level, right? The next we're
Yes.
taking it to the next level. The show could be called Next Level.
Next level.
You know,
I like
and
that.
and you could talk about the amount of money that you're going to invest, make it show the business side of it, right? So make it a financial education,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Talk to the people about financially what does it take to get from A to Z.
Correct.
And I think it'd be a wonderful show that would probably not just draw other artists, but maybe draw investors, buyers,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
forth.
Correct. That's what it's all about.
I think we already got the next level.
Next level. Absolutely. Sounds great.
So, and it's just an idea. I come up with this while we talk. This is what the show's about too: is finding solutions and new ideas. But I think you
Mhm.
make a lovely host. I really do.
Ah, thank you, Kim. That's very kind of you. That's
Not
very kind
for
of
us, that they need to take you out of those roles. But I know why they do that, because you
you.
look very smart.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See,
Thank you very much.
you're very eloquent when you speak. And this is what people don't understand. Terrorists are not stupid. They're very intelligent people. And you look very smart. So I can see why you play
Thank you.
doctors.
Kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, definitely you got that look. But yeah, I'm excited maybe to do something like this. You have to pick a day and time, but with your busy schedule. So during the day, are you still working in the health field?
No. I last year, 2019, I decided to take some time off, and when I took some time off, I decided to give that up for a while. Now I don't know how long is a while. I just took leave. took leave. So what I ended up doing is I decided, okay, I am going to travel. I have always liked this country. I've always loved this country. So I decided I'm going to travel throughout the Mexican Republic to see where I want to end up at and to see what I want to do. Because eventually I am going to go to Central America and then on to South America.
Okay.
But during this quarantine here, we're still on lockdown in Mexico. I'm in a place called Guadalajara, which is, I believe, the third largest city here in Mexico. So during this lockdown, I've been able to make a lot of contacts and also to be very creative. But even before the lockdown, I was able to meet some artists here, and we did some projects here. So we've already have some accomplishments here in a very short period of time. The first project that we did was that video clip that we did for that musician called Sonoman that I mentioned. And then we ended up doing a short narrative on COVID, actually, COVID-19. So this was just really quick before the lockdown. I interviewed some filmmakers here and I gave them the idea. This is what I'd like for us to put together. Can we do it? And if I raise the money, are you serious about this? And they wanted to prove to me that they could do it. And they did it. So it's called COVID-19 2020 Crisis Guadalajara MX. Now it's a 4-minute short about how coronavirus has impacted the community. Not in the number of deaths. No, we're not going there. We're going at it at the angle of economically. Individuals are asked stay home, and the participants in this film are telling me, how can I stay home if I have to work? So I have this dilemma. So it's the dilemma, tough choices that people have to make is a tagline. So I kid you not, this little project of this coronavirus film that we did, we sent it to 3 film festivals now. And it's been selected at the 3 film festivals already.
Congratulations.
We're really excited about this. One in particular was San Diego. San Diego was so impressed with this little project that we did because we did it really well. It was in a short period of time, but one of the things that I tell the artists is that if we're going to be low budget, but we don't need to look poor. The project needs to look professional. So we did. So it was submitted into the San Diego quarantine project, and it was selected, and it's going to be showing on PBS. It's already screened on some films, but it's going to be shown on PBS in San Diego, I believe, next month. So we're really excited about that. So, and what I have on pause right now is another short narrative film about death. People in Mexico, I've discovered, they're very should I say, respectful of death. My next project is about death. It's about somebody that's going to be dying and they're being interviewed, how they feel, how the culture feels about death, and so on and so forth. So that's on hold. And then I've got another video, a very controversial music video about a controversial song called Nuclear Gods. That's also on hold right now, but that should be coming out, or we should be filming, hopefully as soon as we're out of lockdown, June, July is when we're going to be filming that. Now that's going to be exciting. The song is really good. It's called Nuclear Gods, and the name of the band is called Jesus Presley. Yes, like Elvis Presley. Jesus Presley is the name of the band.
I love it. So here's the thing I got about the death one. I think you can make a whole series about that, of different cultures, because every culture has an illuminating aspect to death. Like New Orleans. Oh my gosh. Have you ever been to New Orleans? I mean, it's a
celebration. It's a parade. It's a celebration.
A party. And then, in fact, I heard a big New Orleans band playing one time during just before the Super Bowl. And I had no idea they were celebrating that they'd been awarded some kind of Super Bowl thing. I thought it was a funeral. I go, oh my God, who's got a funeral? Let's go to it.
Yes.
Because it was the New Orleans band playing, music. And thank it.
I'll tell you, same thing happens in India. I mean, whenever there's an old age person dies, we give them a farewell with the music and with the way we are just giving them some kind of a good pleasure that he was there in the world. He lived a good, healthy life for maybe 80 years or more. And we do celebrate, but in a different manner. We don't dance at it, but there is a music and there is a farewell, and then we do a lot of rituals in and around. But if there is some regular death, then we have what we can say. We have 13 days of peaceful silence where we don't work and we just follow the rituals and things like that. So there are different ways to do it, and in our religion, there are multi ways to. We give farewell to a lot of people when they die.
So you could do a whole mini series of little shorts of every culture. I think you would have.
And I'll tell you one more thing. Whenever we shoot a movie in India, be it Bollywood or any movie, and whenever there's a death scene, okay, so generally a lot of directors, because of their superstitious, so they direct that death scene, and then within the since the camera is on, they tell the artist to wake up, and then they cut it, and then they edit it. Because they don't want him to die during the direction, so they make him stand, and then they cut it, and then they edit the scene.
Okay, I see. Okay,
very superstitious.
So the idea for this this particular short narrative is when I worked, I was a medical social worker at one of Houston's largest county hospitals. So I worked in the emergency room as a counselor, as a social worker, where I dealt with a lot of death. So many cultures, different cultures, deal with death differently. I was the guy that would go in with the doctor who would tell the family, we're sorry, we did everything that we could. Unfortunately, he didn't make it or she didn't make it. So my role, and then I would tell the doctor, okay, doctor, leave. Let me now handle the grieving individuals or the family members. So, and throughout my years of experience there, I saw death being handled differently by different cultures.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating to see. And there's a study there to be had, but it was fascinating. Now, this particular project that I'm working on here in Mexico is something similar to that, but it's going to be based here in Mexico. So I've got that on pause right now, and hopefully that'll be done. Now, another project that we just completed as well, and it's doing well. It's called Foxconn. Foxconn is, let me just briefly tell you about this particular project. Foxconn is a short narrative film about also death. This is suicide. Now, you may be aware the research that was done is that Foxconn Inc. Incorporated is a company out of China. So the idea, and this is based on the poetry of one of the fellows that died as a result of committing suicide as a result of the work and the hard work that was being done at Foxconn. So, and it's a poem. Actually, it's a poem that talks about we're all rushing, we're all running, we're all trying to get ahead, and we just can't seem to catch up. And then the only way that I can catch up is to end it. So I commit suicide. So that's Foxconn.
So I want to share something with you guys. Every once in a while, I'll find a TV show to binge on. I'm not big on TV in general, especially media. But I just recently started watching the new show called Upload, which is about afterlife.
Okay.
In the future. Like what they perceive afterlife to be in the future. It's kind of freaky, but it's intended to be a unique comedy, romantic comedy, suspense. It's unique, suspenseful, romantic comedy because there's murder, there's but it's in a comedy form, right? It's not. How would you say? It's uniquely done, so it's entertainable. And I watched the whole first season. I hope they do another one because I truly was engaged in how would people deal with this kind of futuristic afterlife planet because you plan your afterlife.
Fascinating. Wow, interesting.
Given what you're doing, I mean, it has nothing to do with the just the life of what people do here, but it does in a way. But if you see it, at first you're going to go, this is really weird. Oh my God, this is. But then you kind of get drawn into the drama of the TV series. So it's called Upload. I found it quite interesting. It's free right now. It's a brand new TV show, so I found it odd to be free. But I think
Mhm.
Amazon Prime was giving away some shows just to keep people entertained and maybe
Mhm.
back up their
Mhm.
viewers. But you should give it a shot because it
Absolutely. Will
actually I was
do.
impressed because it's a low budget film.
Will do.
And I was
Wow.
impressed with the quality.
Will do. So let me just briefly before we go, I want to talk to you about my feature film called Ghost Box. In
Let's
fact, this is I was waiting to talk about this if you don't mind. So Ghost Box is the very first feature film that we produced, Next Level Productions. Now let me just tell you quickly how the story came about. So this writer by the name of Eric Papucci, I like that last name, Papucci. Eric Papucci presented us with a script that he had written. So I looked at the script, or we looked at the script, and it was horrible. Horrible. We even tried to hire a writer to fix it up, and she says, "No, Ben, I can't do anything with this."
Oh,
But I believe in the
not
story.
good.
I believe in the story. I believe in the story. So then what we gathered around with my business partners and friends, and let's take a look at this. Is it doable? And then we invited Eric to come tell us what the story was about. Well, it's about this young girl who's trying to communicate with her mom. Her mom has recently died, and then she has a boyfriend, and then there's an incubus, and then there's a monster, and then it was all over the map. Okay, let's see if we can put this all together and make something out of this. So sure enough, we did. We rewrote the script again based on what he was telling us and based on what he wanted to say his story. So then again, what we ended up doing is we hired the actors. Can you make something out of all of this dialogue? And the actors said, yes, we can. Okay, so here's the director, et cetera, et cetera. So we got the crew together and we made it happen. We did it in 3 weekends. Actually, we did it in 3 weekends. So it was really quick, but it was a short narrative film. It was
Right.
going to be 10, 15 minutes max. This young girl trying to communicate. Her mom is communicating with her, but and so on and so forth. So the difficult part about filming this was the actual ghost box. The title of the film is Ghost Box. So Ghost Box is actually a spirit box. It's a device. It's a device that we finally found in England. So we had this Ghost Box, which is like a transistor radio. I'm not going to give it all. It's like a transistor radio where you can decipher names between stations. So it's very unique. So the story goes about this young girl who's trying to connect with her mom to finally say goodbye. So we had it in the can, as they say, the filming. So then what the director tells me, Ben David, we have enough footage here. I think that we can make a feature film from this. But it's going to take more time and it's going to take more money. So, well, how much more money? So they can raise more money. So sure enough, we did. So it took us a long time to get the final thing out of the way, and we finally did. I believe early part of 2019 is when we finally had a product, a finished product. So then we did the premiere. Now the premiere was to make money from the actors that we owed money to, but make money from the film as well. And that's when we had the premiere, the red carpet premiere that everybody wants to see. And one of the things that I do, I guess, let me just say, as a producer, I want everyone who participated in this film to get credit, screen credits. That's important. That's important to them, and it's important to me to acknowledge their work. From the caterer to the dresser, to whoever did anything, whoever even said, I can help you, whoever gave me money, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a symbolism of gratitude, first of all, from the producer, but it's also to see their name on the big screen is such an honor for individuals, and that's why I always tend to give them screen credits. So anyway, so the film was
Can I
finally.
talk about one thing on that? I want to add to that.
Go
So
ahead.
I watch the credits a lot, and sometimes I go, I really like that hairdresser on that show. I might, and I'd write their name down. So as a watching producer, I am watching your credits for what? For talent.
Yes.
And not the top talent, but I'm
Yes.
looking for. I really like that music. Who did
Yes.
it? So I
Absolutely.
didn't mean to interrupt your flow, but I just wanted to share that those credits are there for another reason.
Exactly.
And so yes, so thank you for sharing that you do that.
Yeah.
It's really difficult, but because I also do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You do the
Good.
same thing. You watch it for the same. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. You see, for me,
I also
for
do the
me,
same thing.
it's
Try to stalk that person, try to see what kind of work they have done, are they available or not, and things like that.
Talk the person.
for me it's important, but more importantly for them, for those individuals
Exactly.
that were part of this, because as we all know that film is magic. It's
Yeah.
magic. And what you do is once you see your name on that magic that you see behind you, the screen, or in front of you with the screen, that's wonderful. It's a great, great feeling. I remember the first time I saw my name on the big screen. It was such an awesome, for lack of a better term to describe it, an awesome feeling. So that's
Yeah.
what I try to share with others as well. So anyway, so with this particular film, what we ended up doing is we now have a feature film. So this feature film is now what we're trying to distribute. We're trying to find distribution for it. You know, as an independent producer, that's not easy to do.
Mm-mm.
Just let me tell you, because one of the things that we cannot do, we cannot compete with the big boys. We cannot compete with Columbia. We cannot compete with the other major studios. So that means that we have to do our homework, but we and the research, but we also have to hustle to make it happen.
Yeah.
But again, it's an honor for all of those involved. And as I told them when I introduced the film, it's an honor to be part of this process of filmmaking. That you were all part of this as well.
It's a cool experience. This is what I
It
tell
is.
people. I've been on movie sets, and it's definitely a cool experience because you watch everybody work together, like you said, to make this magic happen on the
Yeah,
screen. And it's
yeah.
not easy. And I highly respect every time I watch. I hate doing this, but every time I watch a movie now, I'm sitting there adding up how much did every minute cost.
Yes,
You do
yes,
the same
yes.
thing because one day when we sat down and figured out how much it cost us to film a TV show on location,
Hmm.
we were blown away. Man, we were not patient with people who were late, who didn't show up. We
Yeah,
were like, "Not, and you're costing me 1,000 a minute." I
yes,
don't think so.
yes.
I made somebody really, really mad, a big venture capitalist mad on my set one time because
Mhm.
things weren't where they should be, and it was costing us a lot of money.
Yes,
And I
I
made
agree.
him pull the plug and
Yeah.
switch gears so that we can make it profitable, right? And he
Hmm.
got mad and packed up and left because it wasn't on Limelight where he thought it was supposed to be. So I unfortunately made a venture capitalist very, very mad at me. But I was like,
Hmm.
we're losing $1,000 a minute waiting for people who are not going to show up. We got to shift gears and do it now. And it interfered with what, but it wasn't coming out of his pocket. And this is what I told him: it's not
Hmm.
coming out of your pocket; it's coming out of mine. If you
Yes.
want to pay for this and pay for this, then fine, take it. But it makes you more. People don't understand. When a director gets a little upset, I'm a little more respectful. Now, I don't like the really mean directors, but I'm a little more. I do understand money. Producers are the ones. The money comes out of the producer.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
respect it because it's a lot of
Hmm.
money.
It is. Well, the term that you use, pull the plug. I pulled the plug. The musicians in Chicago, that band that I was working on, we were going to take them to the radio, to the studio, and they were not taking this serious. And I told the director, I'm going to pull the plug on this project. He said, "Oh, no, no, Ben, give them a break. They're young. They're 35 years old. They're not young anymore. So I'm going to pull the plug because they're not serious about this." And they were showing me, we started following them for 6 months. Now, 6 months of investment into a project, that's a long time in film talk.
Yeah.
So we were following them, we were filming them, we took them into the studio. Let me just tell you the quick story about the studio. We took them into a radio show, very similar to what we're doing here, but on live radio. So the guys showed up late to start off with. They were not prepared. They were hungover because they had partied the night before. So I was just not a happy camper to say the least. So the first thing that we do, okay, as soon as they show up, it's airtime. So we're on the air, no prep, and sure enough, well, welcome Ben David, and he's got a crew, and he's they're wonderful, and so on and so forth. So Ben David, tell us about what you have there. So I'm talking to the live audience. Hey, I'm here to introduce this great band, these great guys. I'm just I guess just building them up. And and what I said here, and you'll find this comical, and Kid and Kim, is that with these guys, it's not about the booze, it's not about the drugs, it's about the music. Great line, right? Great tagline. So and then the DJ starts interviewing them, and one of them says, "Can we drink here? Can we drink?" He said, "Well, if you," and the DJ jokingly that, "Well, if you have enough for all of us, then yes." So he pulls from his backpack a 6-pack and gave a beer. Said, "Oh God, kill me now, kill me now." Well, anyway, so to make a long story short, pull the plug, pull the plug, pull the plug.
That's not the message you wanted to send, but it's just the attitude, right? They weren't taking your investment serious. They had to realize you were putting not just a lot of money, but time, which is money, and a lot of energy, and a lot of other people were there with you. So no, I don't blame you. I would have pulled the plug too.
Thank you. I agree with that. That's how I felt as well.
That's the hardest thing to do too, because you realize you put a lot of money into it, and all that money, the minute you pull that plug, that is gone.
It's gone.
And you got to start over.
It's gone. We didn't have enough footage to do much of anything with it. Because the idea with this particular project, with this film, with these guys, take them into a studio and record them live as they're in the recording studio. And we didn't have the end. We didn't have the ending for our film. So that's my story about that as well.
Well, and so again, people, it's what you put into it, and everybody has to be a team. Like Ankit and I, we know that this show wouldn't go without one or the other. So we know that we have to be there. Or Nick, we are a team. It's not just and when we couldn't do this without when. There was one time when all of our network went down, and we still had guests on the show. Ankit went down, I went down. There was no.
Yes.
And here comes Win. He dives in. He's watching us every day. He's
still watching us.
That's right.
And he dived in.
He's like a third eye of IBM TV.
Yes.
He's a third eye of IBM TV. Whenever there's a problem, he just showed up with Spider-Man.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great. That's
he
great.
just dives in and saves the day because we've got technical difficulties and different.
You never know.
Gamble a little bit. We bet that it's not going to happen there and here at the same time, but it did. So there's.
I would like to know one thing that you have a great medical career before you move completely into the movie. You thought of doing a movie on a medical field, maybe about patients or about doctors or about how the doctor's life or about the patient's life? Have you ever?
You're breaking up, but I know what he's asking because we kind of sync here.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, because he's breaking up. He wants to know, because of your medical background, have you thought about doing more of a TV or movie about the doctor's life, the patient's life, the medical nurse's life, and things like that?
Good question. Excellent question. And the answer to your question is it's in the works. It's already in the works. So, thank you for asking that question. I'm glad you did. So one of the things that we discovered here in where I'm at is the health industry is struggling a great deal. Not only because of the coronavirus, but the threats against the medical workers. I kid you not. I kid you not. I watch the news on Kid and Kim, and one of the things that I see is a lot of threats against the doctors and against the nurses, the medical staff. In fact, my COVID-19 short, you'll see a little portion there where a comment is, we're gonna burn this hospital down. And then you hear a bomb. Not the bomb is what we impose, but that's one of the comments, and that's one of the issues that we find ourselves here in Mexico, is that the general population is also threatening the medical staff who are helping patients. So the answer to your question is yes, I have, and that's in the works.
There's got to be a psychic underlining behind those threats. The threats that we see in the United States is that the medical professionals were fired. Speaking out. So,
yes.
So a lot of doctors, apparently there was a memo sent out, but they fired the people before they even sent the memo out. So they were gagging the doctors in the medical profession, saying that
Yes.
they could not speak out, that they did not have enough PPE and things like that.
Mhm.
And some of our doctors, they're literally taking it's disposable PPE and they're
Mhm.
recycling it. Disposable
Yeah.
PPE, they're reusing it. They're not recycling it, they're reusing it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I'm just sharing a screen, and this talk about a movie called Munna Bhai MBBS, where there's a guy. He's not a doctor, but he
Mhm.
still treats a patient with his own ways. I would suggest Ben to watch this movie. It's a different movie, but it's all about how we can still treat patients with a
Okay.
lot of love and a lot of compassion and things like that. And it's one of the
Great.
good Indian movies, and it's about the patient life, more about the doctor's life. But that is what the movie is all about.
Wonderful. Yes, I'll look into it. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm excited about your short coming up. The Ghost Box is already out. Am I correct?
Ghostbox is already out. I'm just right now looking for distributors. In fact, I just kind of sort of am so hopeful that it'll be picked up.
I hope we're going to be doing that. I hope that
Yeah.
we will be airing that real soon for
Yeah.
you because, I don't have a problem. Again, we're looking for content, great content,
Yeah.
unique content, and then the new COVID show would be great.
Mhm.
You know, just but I also like the idea of you coming on and doing a little mini series or a series about artists and
Yeah, that would be cool. I like that actually. That would be cool. That's something that I can put together quite easily,
yeah.
and I think that it'll be enjoyable for your audience.
Yeah, and I think you could either do it live where, you got live engagement from viewers, or you could even do it post and it'd still be pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but we greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing all of this.
Thank
We
you.
are very excited about airing his movies and his artwork on IBM TV. We want to be the main distribution for art.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Kim and Kid. I'm looking forward to
Be
our
the light.
relationship.
And
Thank
we
you so
love
much.
you. Oh, I wanted to tell you real quick. My son, Oaxaca,
Oaxaca.
Mexico. Yeah, Oaxaca, Mexico is where he was, and he said it was lovely. He said it was one of the most beautiful places,
Yes.
and he just enjoyed it so much. So if you get a chance, go there.
Yes, in fact, that's on my agenda. In fact,
Okay, good.
that was going to be what I was going to do this month, as a matter of fact. But on lockdown, can't do it. It's pronounced Oaxaca. It's
Oaxaca. Yeah, I always
Oaxaca
Oaxaca.
is one of the most beautiful states here in the Mexican Republic,
Mhm.
and that's where I am going next. But thank you so much for that.
He said the
So
food,
again,
really fresh food. So he
thank you so
loves
much for this opportunity. Be
Thank you.
well, be
the
safe.
Have a good